Welcome to Bringing IP to Life. I'm Anna from Amanya IP and Amanya Design, and I'm joined by my guests to talk about IP. We're going to hear people's stories of their creativity, business, and entrepreneurship. Intellectual property can be a really dull subject until it becomes personal. This is aimed to help see the relevance of IP in everyday life. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the Bringing Intellectual Property to Life show, and I'm joined by James Mellor today, and we're going to hear all about his journey into becoming an award-winning film producer. So welcome, James.
Thanks for having me, Anna.
Oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. So a little bit of a brief hello to what you do, James. Introduce yourself.
So I'm James Mellor. I'm the creative director at Rainbow Trout Films, and I'm also co-director at Albion Street Studios here in Halifax.
We're going to have a little bit of a viewing about your studio. You can kind of take a look at what this amazing space that him and Danny have created in Halifax. So let's have a look at this.
Hi, welcome to Albion Street Studios. I'm James Mellor. I'm one of the creative directors here, along with Danny Thompson. So if you want to come in, we've got a lovely meeting room here which can be hired out. So we've got the big screen there, we've got the flipboard, nice space for up to about 6 people quite comfortably. So we often get agencies and clients coming in having meetings in here. So it's a great place in the centre of Halifax. So we've got this lovely area here where we've got a little kitchenette basically, where you can make your teas, your coffees. We've got a microwave, kettle obviously, coffee making, get your toast and everything, so a nice little seating area so you can chill out when you're just having a break from work. So this is our co-working area. You can hire out desks, 20 quid a day. Or if you want a longer term lease on a desk, reach out to myself and Danny and we can discuss really competitive rates. So we've got a projector here so we can project onto the screen. We've got a green screen, white screen. We can put different colour backgrounds depending on what the client requires. Obviously we use fully professional broadcast quality camera kit. We can also do podcasts in here. We've successfully done Don't Work with Tossers with Tina Bowden. We filmed that in this area, so it was a professional set with 3 cameras set up and all the bells and whistles for Tina, which we really enjoyed doing. So you can do it in a fully professional studio environment, or we have the smaller room if you're just wanting to do a simple podcast audio with nice sound dampening surfaces. Obviously in there also it doubles up as a video production suite, so we produce all our video content in-house, which is great through Rainbow Trout Films. And then obviously for photography, my colleague Danny will tell you a little bit about the photography side.
So through here, this is our studio, 24 metre square infinity curve, and this is where we do all those headshots, all this branding. We have marketing teams in here doing, fashion shoots, branding shoots, everything, they go to this lovely table here and set up. We have the co-working area as well for managing directors or creative teams to actually get the photos straight away and get on with work straight away, keeping on top of their companies while the shoot's getting on. It's a really good diverse and versatile studio for all photography needs. We do, like I just mentioned, the headshots and the branding. Also we do a lot of marketing, social media, TikToks here, and also product and a bit of fashion as well. So this is a nice setup for headshots. We do this a lot for companies where you've got a lot of staff and staff change around. This is where we can keep on top of this. Also your branding and keeping it unique to the shoots we've done beforehand on retainers and stuff like that. Just keeping people on top and keeping that consistency, that high level of photography for companies. And yeah, it's amazing. We love it, and yeah, it's welcome.
So James and I are going to talk a little about his journey in filmmaking, and we're going to talk about what's brought him to where he is today, and we're going to hear a little bit of a snippet of this conversation, so have a listen.
To go into the drama world, I had to go back down to being a runner again.
Okay.
Because everyone starts at the bottom and you work your way back up again. So I got an opportunity to work on Last of the Summer Wine.
Oh, excellent.
I loved that. I wouldn't even call it work, it was just fun. So we were just doing things, and I was back up in Yorkshire for all the location, which was lovely, and have happy memories of that show.
So we're going to talk about, James, your journey from a Yorkshire-born, Yorkshire-bred boy into a award-winning international film producer, and you've just come back from Slovenia, where you won the award for the sports film. Is it the sports film of the year?
So we were in the International Sports Film Festival out there for our film Rugby Town, and we won in the team sport, a film about a team sport category, and we won there. So from winning there, we then get entered into a bigger festival in Milan in November. So if we get selected, so we'll wait and see what happens.
Amazing. And this story is a story about rugby league in Halifax, isn't it? So it's a documentary you've written, and you've had all these people part of it. So tell us a little bit about the storyline.
So the whole project came about with a lady called Linda Kitson, who's a co-producer on the film. She's part of the Rugby League Halifax Supporters Trust, and she came to me with the idea of making a film for the 150th anniversary, which was last year. So from that, we looked at what we could do, see where we could raise some money. We did some crowdfunding, and we got a bit of small pot of money from a grant fund. And so we said, right, we're going to make this happen. We had a large ambition of making it into a feature-length documentary, but with time getting shorter and shorter and money being very limited on it, I made a decision to say, right, we'll make it a short film. It's still 40 minutes long, but to meet the deadline so we can get the screening, which we had last November at the Square Chapel, and to a packed out audience, which was great.
Yeah, that's right. And for some reason, I couldn't make your date. And you're going to be showing some more screenings later on in the year, aren't you? So it's not readily available yet. Not yet.
No, because it goes through the film festival circuit, which it's doing now. So that's to get some awards, get known internationally. Because the whole idea of the film was to give it a wider audience. I didn't want it to just be the local fans. I wanted it to people to discover about the sport and the town wherever they are in the world, whether it's here at Timbuktu.
No, it's great. It's great, and it had such great reports. So it's fab. And then the next trip is Italy.
Fingers crossed. We'll wait and see.
Let's watch a little bit of a trailer of the documentary.
I try and tell a clean story. Quite a few come to mind. At that moment where that ball's in the air seems to last hours.
We played exceptionally well on the pitch, and we played even harder off the pitch.
A lot of fans didn't like that. Some never went. Unfortunately, we had a lot of things as we came on as a new board to learn, and that was very difficult.
Where tensions were running high with everybody.
I remember when this dude knocked me out. I remember when I scored a try over this guy, right?
I just felt like my life was over because rugby was gone, basically.
Now, James, I found a picture of you and me last night. Let me show it to everybody. This little picture of you and me, I was trying to work it out. It's probably about 2017, I think. And we were both doing business training and learning how to develop our businesses. And that's kind of where we got to meet. So that's quite some time ago now.
It certainly is, and I can see Pascal there doing the training, and I'm working with Pascal at the moment because he specialises in film marketing, so he's a good person to know.
Oh yeah, so that's kind of where we met, and we were both doing slightly different things back then, but now we are developing our businesses. You started out, when I first met you, you were still doing a lot of work in London, but you wanted to bring your work up north. So you ended up putting quite a lot of hard work in to get the recognition up here that you'd received down in London. So it was quite a big shift for you, wasn't it, to get the work geographically closer to home?
Yes, because I lived in London for 15 years, so I'd obviously developed and started my business when I was down there, because I started off freelancing in the film TV world. So when I started my business, very much more of a freelancer, and that developed more into an actual proper video production business now. But yes, when I came back up here about 10, 11 years ago, it was almost like starting from scratch again, because I was like suddenly the new kid on the block. And learning that process whereas in London you'd have a discussion with somebody who said, and the budget is this X, Y, Z. Great, off you go, do it. Whereas up here it's a bit. I found it a bit more challenging. That smooth flow through isn't still there. So you've got to work that bit harder to make things happen.
Yeah. Yes, but you are making things happen. You know, you're getting much more recognition up here. And your studio, tell us a little bit more about the studio, because this all happened during COVID, didn't it? The change of you working from home and you now working in a duo with Danny. So tell us a little bit more about that, how that came about.
So that came out just pre-COVID. I'd met Danny through a local networking group, and we sort of were passing ships, and we discovered that we were keep saying like, "Oh, who did you photograph?" Oh, it was Danny, and it's like he was asking the same question. Who's doing your videos? Oh, this guy called James, and we just sort of like we ended up meeting, and we've got on. We are completely chalk and cheese.
Mm-hmm. You are. You're very different.
But it sort of works, and so when obviously, so we'd just done some work together. I put some videos together for him. He'd done some headshots for me, and then COVID hit, and then everybody got locked up. So it was, but then we just started having many Zoom calls, and then before you know it, 3 hours had gone by, and then we that's where the idea of the studio was born. We said, well, we need. Because I had a desk at that time in the business centre, the University Business Centre in Halifax, which is now sadly closed and gone. Right. So I needed somewhere else to move to. Danny was looking for somewhere, so we took the bold step, moved into a small space, which we were subletting from a local charity called Unmasked Mental Health. And then within 6 months, we'd outgrown the space. And then we had this idea of, this space became available that we're in now. And it was a blank slate. It was originally the first floor of a clothes shop. So we designed it from the bottom up. Myself, Danny, and our families got together and working out, we can have this here, we can have that there. So it's been a real labour of love, and we've actually been in just 2 years now, officially. We were lucky enough to have the Mayor of West Yorkshire, Tracy Brabin, came along and opened the studio back in June 2022. So
amazing. Well, it's when you visit, it's the most amazing space, because you've got a meeting room where you can have, private meetings. You've got places for co-working. You've got a state-of-the-art film and video part of the studio, and then you've got places for editing as well. It's just all in. And a little kitchen and place to relax as well. It's just the most amazing space, and you've just designed it top notch. So it's really in its own right a just amazing space in the middle of Halifax. It's great.
Thank you, because it's been challenging. I mean, we're in challenging times now economically with the country. Obviously we're recording this on election day, so
we are.
So I think things will change. I think we're going through a change, and I hope a bit more positivity comes back into the UK economy, and then that comes back to us, because Halifax is a great place to be, but like everywhere, it's having tougher times when you're looking around and seeing lovely restaurants that used to go in closing down, and businesses shutting left, right, and centre. So it's. I hope that trend is reversed very soon.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I remember going to one networking meeting at your place, and there was a local, I think he was a filmmaker that had come along, and he was just raving about how amazing the space was. And he just said, if you want to have filmmaking, go to James. So he was just diverting all the work that could come his way to you, because he just saw the space and what you were doing. And it's just an amazing space for use for people that need your services. So it's great. So James, we need to go back to where this journey all started, because we're talking about the end game now, but we need to go back to what took you into film, and where did it start?
Oh my goodness. So forgive me for those who have heard this before, but it started when I was about 10 years old. And then my dad had a trout farm at that time. We got a random call from the BBC in Manchester. It said, we need some live fish for a scene in a then unknown series called Red Dwarf. Of course, it's now very, very famous comedy. And so I went along as a little 10-year-old with the fish tank in with the trailer over to Manchester, and I just walked onto my first TV set, and of course the spaceships and things. So I'm a bit of a geek. I like my sci-fi. So I was just in heaven. I was like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. And from that point on, I was hooked. I thought, I want to work in this industry. I didn't know at that time what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to be in the film and television world, and nobody could tell me otherwise. So I kept on that, and this is back in the 1990s, so it was really tough to get that foot through the door back then. We didn't even have mobile phones, if you think about it.
That's right.
So and then I was lucky enough to get work experience at Yorkshire TV on Countdown back in 95, and then that was, again, you were in the building, as it were.
Wow.
Once you're in the building, it's up to you. Go talk to people, network, and you never know what can happen.
And how old were you then?
I was 17, maybe 18. So right at the beginning. So yeah, I was going through A-levels, end of GCSEs, A-levels. So yeah, it was a good escapism for me at that time.
Wow. How did you get to have that opportunity with them?
Lots of knocking on doors, calls. We were just lucky to get an opportunity. I think I found out the producer through a friend of a friend and managed to get a meeting. And I remember turning up to this meeting so nervous because I spilled coffee down my trousers because I was that nervous about the whole thing.
Wow.
So it's.
Wow.
I look back at it with fond memories now.
Yeah, definitely. So you were much younger when your dad had the trout farm, is that right?
Yeah.
So what did you do in between?
School.
But you involved, you did drama lessons, I understand, and you got involved in that.
Yeah, I did some drama. So when I was younger, I had an ambition to become an actor, and then realised it's a really, really tough thing to make any money from being an actor.
Yeah.
So I discovered from getting on film sets and TV sets, looking at what everybody was doing, it's like, oh, that's interesting. So I just loved any opportunity I could get to do that. So I learned a lot on film sets, doing acting and supporting artist work, certainly during the early 2000s.
So you didn't want to go down the photograph route, you wanted to go down the film route?
Yeah, photograph. That's, you want to speak about photography, speak to Danny. I'm not a photographer. I'm very much a filmmaker. The moving image is my forte.
It's your passion.
Yeah.
So tell us what took you down to London, because that was part of your story, wasn't it? So how did that happen?
London. Well, back in those days, if you wanted to get anywhere, you had to be in London because there were no opportunities up here in the north, like none virtually. Because it just wasn't there. So back then I had to go to London to find those opportunities. So I decided to do my HND at Thames Valley University back then because they had a connection with Ealing Film Studios, so I could get to go to Ealing Film Studios, which was great fun to get that. But again, being in London, it was a fun thing, and I remember I'd finished my university, moved out of my gigs in Ealing, moved back up north, back in with my dad, and then within 2 weeks of moving back, I'd got a job interview for a Channel 4 show called The Real Holiday Show,
right?
We filmed, that was based at Elstree Film Studios. The offices were. So I'd literally been back up north for 2 weeks and then got the job and then moved straight back down to London.
Wow.
And I was like on my friends' sofas for about 6 months during that job. But it was great. It was great to get to know London really well because, the internet wasn't a big thing. So you had to ferry lots of big heavy tapes around. So I got to know London extremely well because one of the perks of my job was I got a travel card so I could travel around. But think about it as I was just like the office runner, as it were. Not paid a lot of money, but I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, and learned the ropes.
Exactly. You got to go from the beginning, and then that led into something else. Then I did a little stint at the Royal Opera House, doing things with laser technology on an opera there, which was great fun. And then I got an opportunity to work at Sky Television over in Osterley. So I went and worked with Sky One in their special projects department for about a year, which was again learning a lot, and developed my production assistant skills, my research skills,
Right.
which was a really fun thing. But I always had a passion for drama, and I was just like,
Okay.
and then I was very lucky that I got an opportunity to become. So this is it. I built up to being a researcher in sort of the TV world, and then it was like,
Right.
to go into the drama world, I had to go back down to being a runner again.
Okay.
Because everyone starts at the bottom and you work your way back up again. So I got an opportunity to work on Last of the Summer Wine.
Oh, excellent.
And I loved that. It was, I wouldn't even call it work, it was just fun, because we were just doing things. And then I was back up in Yorkshire for all the location, which was lovely. And have happy memories of that show. Then that followed, and then I did a 6-month stint on the last series of London's Burning.
Okay.
Back down in London. And then the following year I got promoted to be a third assistant director on Summer Wine again. So, and that's where my early journeys began, as it were.
Oh, amazing. Amazing. So you're saying there's a difference between TV and drama? Did I get that right?
TV drama and factual TV, the skill set's very different, and the structure is quite different. So, you learn that when you go through it. So, TV world, you've got your assistant directors, you've got your different departments. I mean, you do that in the factual world, but the teams are much, much smaller. You'll just have like your director, your associate producer, and a runner or a production assistant, and that will be it in factual.
Right.
Whereas on a smaller show, shall we say, the bigger shows obviously have bigger teams. But on drama shows, you've got a crew of 20, 30, 40, even 50 people. So it's a very different structure.
Wow. So tell us, James, because this was your journey at the start, when did you decide to go and do your own business, and what was the idea behind that?
It was always something I always wanted to do, but I was like working on great films. I was working on Harry Potter, Born, one of the Born films. Can't remember which one it is. The second one, third one, second one, and many other things. And then I got an opportunity to work back at Sky, and they said, "Well, can you come and direct this piece for Sky Real Lives?" And it was a 10-day gig. Right. For their in-house creative department, Sky Creative. And so I came, did that, and thought, that's it. And then, there's this other project, which was then another 2 months. Would you like to do that? And then it was just, before I know it, I'd been there a couple of years.
Oh, amazing.
So during that time, I had the opportunity to become a limited company. So, so effectively, my first client was Sky, which was quite nice.
Cool.
But again, that was more of a freelancer business in those early years.
And was that when you decided to call it Rainbow Trout Films? Did it start there? You did start there.
Yeah. I had to come up with a name, and I thought I didn't want to be like James Mellor Productions. It didn't quite fit well with me, and I was actually at the BAFTA Television Awards that year, and I was looking at all the nominees and all the different programs, and and one that caught my eyes, like Dragonfly Films. I thought, animals. And then I had this light bulb moment in the London Palladium going, that'd be a good idea. And I think I was scrambling looking for on Company's House website, is Rainbow Trout Films available? And it was. So it was just like, I think I was onto my accountant the next morning going, right, I've decided, make it happen. This is it.
Excellent.
And that's how it was born.
Family story, doesn't it?
Yeah,
where it all
exactly.
started.
Yeah.
What brought you into the film industry in the first place? Yeah.
Yeah. So you got that nice connection there.
Yeah. So we're going to come back to that in a little bit about your Rainbow Trout, the name and stuff. But I'm curious. Tell us a little bit more about what you do from a director's point of view. What's your role, and how do you go about directing a film? If you're giving a blank sheet, what do you do, and how do you do it from a director's point of view?
That's quite a big thing. We start right at the beginning, and you've got to have a good idea. I think that's the first instance.
Yeah.
And then it's building your team around you. So for a film, it's working with writers. Where's the money coming from? Where are you getting the funding? Because that has to be taken into account. So you start building your team early before you turn on a camera or anything like that, because there's a lot of pre-production work that goes into any film before you even got close to a set. So it can be challenging, but I like that challenge. But I like working with it's a team sport, as it were. You can't you can do so much on your own, but it's the strength of your team around you that really makes it happen.
And say, for example, when Sky asked you to direct that film, did they have a plan as to how you were doing it, or did you have creative license in that?
So that was very much more going out, filming interviews with, obviously it was sort of real live, so we were going and interviewing real people in their homes. So it would be myself, a camera person and a sound person, so a team of three of us going out, getting the interviews, bringing them back, and then taking those into the edit and forming the show from that point, and bringing all the elements in, whether that's music, graphics, and build your segment, your program, from there.
And tell me, does the sound come first, or does it come at last? How does it work from a soundtrack point of view?
Well, you obviously capture good audio on the day. That's number one. Then sound. Well, there's also many elements of sound. You obviously, speaking to a sound technician would be able to tell you a lot more than I can. But yeah, capturing good sound on the time, and then when you're putting it into your edit, you're thinking, do you need any special effects? Do you need any sound effects? What sort of music do you want to go with it? And then that comes into where is the program being shown? So, for instance, you couldn't say put a Beatles track on, because that would blow the budget of your project. So you quite often it's like, well, we'll use some library music or something that's at a lower price point to obviously make it happen. So if you're going on broadcast, that needs to be paid for. So you can't just put anything on. And another trick is, if you're having music playing in a scene, don't have it playing on the day, because you cut between different cameras, you'll never match that up in an edit. So you put that on after.
Good idea. Yeah, good idea. Yeah, I mean, just curious, you see soaps and stuff playing radio music. Is that stuff, do they have to ask permission for that radio music before they play it? How does that work? Because they're obviously got it playing in the background. That's all.
Yes, that will be all cleared beforehand and budgeted in, and a fee will have gone through the Mechanical Copyright Production Society, and then so the artists get paid through that. But yes, I think there's a rule that you can maybe get away with up to 8-9 seconds, maybe 10 seconds on a push. On maybe a live broadcast or something, but don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure, but there are certain rules that you have to follow.
Yeah, because from a musician's point of view, it's their creation. They want to be able to be paid something for it. The Performing Rights Society, isn't it? That kind of works all that out for the musicians and whatever. But and the big blockbuster movies, if they're doing music that goes alongside it, they'll do that right at the end. Is that right? Will the writers, will they be writing the soundtracks, the music sound? after it's all been edited and put through? Is that how they do it?
Well, they'll be working alongside the director and the producers from an early stage just to get the concept, what sort of music they're going to have, because again, that takes a long time. How big is it? How big and bold can they go? Can they get a full-size orchestra in? Are they recording at Abbey Road Studios? Are they or do we have tuppence halfpenny and we have to do it on a little synthesizer?
Yeah.
There's two ends to it, but again, that's a creative process that the musicians and the composer will work through and build that on their end. So it's, if you imagine, it's lots of different pillars all working simultaneously to build the film. And they'll be operating silos, some of them, because they don't need to be all on set, where obviously that's where people think most of it happens, but there's a lot happening behind the scenes, as it were.
Wow. Yeah. There's a lot that you don't realise when you just sit down and watch a movie. Yeah. But we're going to talk about the IP side of your business. I mean, first of all, films are covered automatically by copyright. So, you can have the benefit of that benefiting your creations just from the point of you creating it. Is there anything else that comes in from a copyright point of view that obviously if you're using other people's materials, like their music or whatever, you have to be asking permission for that or paying fees to use it? Is there anything else that comes into it?
Well, obviously, for music, getting it licensed. So there's lots of different music libraries, or there's royalty-free music where you'll still pay a fee to like a music library house, but that means you can use that royalty-free wherever. So that's on one end, and then obviously you can hire a composer to make you a bespoke track.
Yeah.
And then that then is part of that, and that's part of that project and that product. So from a music point of view, and obviously copyright is, you can't copyright an idea. That's the thing.
It has to be outside of the head. Yeah.
So people would, if you write a script, in the old days we would post it to ourselves.
That's right.
In a sealed envelope and with postmark date, and then that would just stick in a cupboard somewhere for forevermore. Because copyright infringement happens all the time, sadly, and especially now with social media and all the different social medias, people are using other people's content all the time. So it's almost become almost impossible to police from that point of view. So obviously, when you create something and the love and care and attention you get into that, you want to try and protect it as much as possible. But of course, as soon as it's out there in the public domain, it takes on a whole league of its own. That's why cinemas are like trying to stop people filming in the cinema when you're watching a film.
That's right.
And that's not ever the way you should watch your films. Go to the cinema if you can.
Because we've all seen that for years. Don't film, don't take photographs while you're at the cinema, and then you see the copyright signage at the end of the film and stuff. So we've all seen that at the end of films. But from a creator's point of view, it's your livelihood, and it's the things that you create that you don't want somebody else to go and nab what you've created and make money off it without you getting anything for it. So, from a creator's point of view, very much so. If you'd like to know more about intellectual property or IP, check out the Amanya IP website at www.amanyaipcourses.com. Courses vary from general basic understanding about IP for adults, young people and students, through to professional courses and courses for the USA market. The courses are aimed to help young people, students, designers, artists, business owners, and entrepreneurs become IP smart to enable them to protect their dreams. So, James, I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to the younger James about things you've learned along your business journey, your creative journey, that you think he would really benefit from knowing? Now that you're the older James, what would you wish that he'd learned years back?
Believe in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Keep believing, because it's not easy to work in the film TV industry.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy. It's a choice. Yeah. It has its challenges. People see the glorious moments, but they don't see that hard work and really tough times in between. But I would just say, have faith, and you'll come through. And lots of things have come to fruition, but we still have challenges. So I would say keep learning, because I'm keeping learning. Yeah, there's always something new to discover. Technology is rapidly changing. We have now the invention of AI now, especially. That's affecting our industry massively now. And obviously we had the big writer strikes and actor strikes in the US last year, and part of that is because of the threat of AI and taking over lots of the work that we used to do. Yeah, and I've seen it already in things that we do, that those jobs aren't there anymore because AI can do those bits. Maybe not as well, but
such as explain.
So if you want to do the quick social media things for your social media, you've got apps on your phone now that can put a video together within seconds, minutes. Whereas from in the old-fashioned production sense, that could have taken a couple of days. So those sort of jobs have gone effectively. But there's still opportunities for people wanting the higher end, sort of high production value work. That's where we pivoted more towards, because your phones can do some amazing things, but they still have their limitations.
James, we're going to split this interview into two parts because we want to hear more about your story. So for those of you that are coming back, we're going to talk a little bit more about James and IP, and also more about where he's going from here. So join us in the next show. Thanks for joining us on the show. Like, follow and subscribe to make sure you hear about what's coming up next. You can head over to the website www.amanyaipcourses.com to find out more. See you again soon.